Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. It is a crowded world out there, folks, in social media. We've been talking about this for a while. You need professionals on your side, whether it's building the right website so your potential clients can find you, or doing social media, mailing list, everything. Please go to oakcitytech.com. They will help you get found and get your word out. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you small business success stories from Triangle BNI. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Each week, about 30 chapters and almost 600 members get together, and we show up every week to help each other grow their business. Because as we always talk about in BNI, givers gain. And if you give, you will get, and that works in everybody's life. And so that's why we enjoy meeting each week for our BNI chapters, so we can help our fellow members. Now, today, through a glitch on my end, scheduling in, whatever, I do not have a guest today, so it is just me. I hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to chat about life stuff, because yesterday my wife and I finally got to clean out our garage. Of the stories I'm going to tell you, please don't judge me. For those of you that have moved a lot and lived a lot of places, I think there's a rule that if you have a box that's taped up and it goes through 2 moves and you don't open it, then you should throw it away. And there's some thought to that. However, we did come across some pretty good nuggets. We decided yesterday to do this when it was cold. We knew that. So we kind of thought, we'll just wait till like 10:30 for it to warm up. And our garage faces the rising sun. So by 11:30, 12 o'clock, felt good. We're working up a good warmth, not a sweat, but we're working up a good warmth. Dragged a bunch of stuff outside onto the driveway to clean out the garage, spray a couple places, sweep out a couple places, and then slowly go through some boxes and organize the garage, which was kind of the MO for yesterday. What we didn't really think about was about 2:30, the sun goes over our house, and now we no longer have the direct sun. And man, oh man, it felt like a 10-degree drop. So we had to deal with that. And as we got everything back into the garage, we had at least 6 bags of trash. The recycle bin had probably 10 or 11 boxes in there. And I just forgot how much fun it was to look at all the stuff you have until you finally get it spread out on the driveway. When it's tucked away in the garage, unorganized, you really don't have a concept of what those boxes on the bottom look like. So we got everything out, wiped it off, and began the process. Now, we've lived in our current house for a little over 2 years. We don't collect as much stuff anymore. We just didn't purge a lot of stuff since we've been married. And Becky and I have been married for 34 years, 4 months, 5 months. So we've collected a good number of things. We have 2 boys. We've lived in 10 places total, 10 houses or apartments total, in 9 since we've had kids. So we've been collecting stuff. Travis was born in 1986. So we've pretty much been collecting stuff since 1986. Now, I don't know how good the folks listening are with being organized and keeping their garage clean. Don't even know if you can park a car in there. We cannot. My goal, probably by about the second week of January, is to get it organized enough where Becky can park her car in there, especially with these cold North Carolina winters. Now, what we haven't addressed is the attic. And there's stuff in the attic. We know that, more decorating stuff and some suitcases up there, but we've not even addressed the attic. So once we got the garage done yesterday, we didn't gain a lot of room. We're very much organized. So now we know where everything is. So that's a big help. So Becky, I left it in her hands to organize the garage because it'll be done far better with her than with me. So we got like items put together. Now we know where all the Christmas ornaments are and all the decorations are. We knew they were in there. It's kind of like the Where's Waldo game, or it's like the surprise in the Cracker Jack box. You know it's in there, but you don't know exactly where it is or what it is. So we got 4, 5, or 6 boxes and containers of Christmas stuff that's organized now and properly labeled. A, because that's the right way to do it, and B, Becky has the best handwriting, so we let her write. We also have some Halloween stuff that we knew there was an orange container out there. We just had no idea where it was. So the good news is we found it, we rescued it, looked through it, and now we know where it is. And that likely will go up into the attic. Once we figure out what's in the attic that needs to come down or out, there's some Christmas decorations in there. So then the other thing we wanted to do is get all the knickknacks boxes together for the 4 of us. So Becky had 2 containers. I ended up with 3. I have no idea why. Travis has 2 and Cameron has 2. So we have those organized. And that was the fun part, was going through those containers. I've got some stories of some stuff we found. The other good thing, once we pulled everything out of the garage and swept and sprayed, we can now get to the breaker box in the garage should anything happen. Now, before we cleaned out the garage, we could technically get to the breaker box, but it looked like a game of Twister. You had to stretch long way over one box and kind of reach out this way or around this way. But, we could get to it, but now we can actually walk up to it. So we feel good that we are organized and we know pretty much where everything is, but we still have too much stuff. So when Travis and Sarah and Oliver come up to visit for Christmas, we may send them back with some of Travis's keepsakes once Sarah gets to look at it and is done laughing at some of the pictures way back when. And then if Cameron and his fiancee Jen come up in January, we may send them back with stuff too. So now we get to the breaker box. We're very pleased about that should any emergencies happen. I don't know if this has happened to you. We also had a table. It's a wooden table that my wife got right out of college. So this was 82 at I forget what kind of store she said, at an antique store. And it's an old brown table. You put the sleeves in on the side, lay them down, and then push them in. And we had that out there totally unorganized. Well, we knew where it was because we could see it, just wasn't functional. So we wiped that off, set it up, and now we got 4 boxes stacked on that table. We just felt like that was a huge accomplishment. But like I said, we're more organized. It's cleaner out there. We just still have a lot of stuff. So looking through some of the things that I found, I don't know how far back you go looking for stuff. And then the game was, A, do you remember it? And B, did you know we had it? So was the fun part, because she's in one part of the garage looking through boxes, and I'm out in the driveway looking through boxes. And each time hey, look at this. Do you remember this? So we're going through a bunch of things. I brought a couple of visuals with me. One of them is, for golfers out there, here's a scorecard. It is the first round I ever shot even par. So I shot an even par 72 at River Bend Country Club in Ormond Beach, Florida. And this would have been 2005, maybe. I had a standing golf game every Saturday morning in Daytona Beach. The good news was there's probably 2 Saturdays a year we couldn't play because of the weather. So that was helpful. We always knew Saturday morning we got a call Thursday. Hey, are you in? I'm in. And we knew to be there. First group went off at 7:00. We always had the first 3 or 4 tee times because we played there every week. And the first tee box was the best because that's where all the guys were. And this was a short par 4. So the driving range is on the left and a lot of trees are on the right. And it wasn't a difficult hole, but man, oh man, if you hit it left or right, there was hell to pay from the gaggle. A lot of ribbon going on. So a little bit of pressure on the first hole. So you want to make sure you got in the fairway and move on and let them heckle somebody else. So I remember that round because there's the 16th hole was a par 5, dog leg left, dog leg right. I wasn't a long hitter, but I hit my tee shot well enough that I could carry the trees onto the green, and I made an eagle on a par 5. So that helped me get that score. So I knew I'd shot the round, and I remember a lot of it, but I didn't realize I had the scorecard. So that's one of those things, one of those gems that comes out of cleaning up your garage and going through boxes to find. So that was a lot of fun. some of the jobs I've had, I don't know if I've talked about a lot of these yet, but I've had some pretty cool jobs. Early on out of college, it was all in sports public relations. So my first job out of the college at the University of Tennessee, go Vols, even though we're 2-5, go Vols, was at the University of Texas in Austin, Texas. I'd never been west of the Mississippi, grew up in North Carolina, graduated high school here, and got a job at the University of Texas, sight unseen. I thought, if I'm going to go, I'm going to go. It's 1983, 22 years old. Hey, why not? So I packed up my car, drove to Austin, and I was doing public relations for the athletic teams. And 1984 rolls around and the Olympic Games in LA. Well, there's a ton of people needed to put on an Olympic Games, goes without saying. And it never dawned on me that I would get a call with a bunch of other people to go be publicists for certain events and certain sports. Back then, the Southwest Conference was Texas, Texas A&M, SMU, TCU, all of the Texas schools. And we got to know each other real well because each weekend we were at somebody's place or somebody was at our place, running football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, swimming, track, tennis, golf. It didn't matter. Every weekend we saw another one of our PR friends. We're called sports information directors. And so I got a call one day and my boss, Chris Plonsky, said, "Hey, are you interested in going to work the Olympic Games in LA? 22, single. Sure. 23 by then. Single. Absolutely." So they sent, oh my God, there must have been 100 PR people out to LA because there's 30 different sports or something like that. And you need people for every sport. You just didn't know what sport you were going to get. So that was the fun part of it, was going to LA. I'd never been to LA. Again, never been west of the Mississippi. So I'd never been to LA. It was the Olympic Games. I was young, excited. I'm a huge sports fan. So this was back in the day with Carl Lewis in track and field. Names like that were going to be there. So we get there and we check in, and there's, I guess, about 10 of us. 3 of us from the University of Texas, and then 7 others from different schools. Most of them we knew, a couple of people we didn't know. And we got assigned to volleyball in Long Beach. And man, oh man, you got to talk about winning the lottery out in LA in the summertime in Long Beach, working volleyball, men's and women's. It was indoors. There was no beach volleyball back then, but it was indoors. But it was a cool place to be because it was easy. We were inside, and it was some really good competition. So that was a lot of fun. What we collected at the Olympics were coins. Each sport had their own gold coin, and there's a blue box that all these coins came in. So I found that the box has kind of taken a beating, but the coins are still there. So it's pretty cool. And you would meet people from all over the world. You would exchange pins, either from your sport or the country you're from. So that was a lot of fun. That was kind of the currency then, was exchanging the pins that you got. And I think we probably got a dozen or so to start with. And the other good thing that worked in my favor, 2 of the sponsors for the Olympic Games were Coca-Cola and M&M's. And when I say free, folks, I mean free. There were M&M's, Coke, Diet Coke, everything in the media room, anywhere we wanted to go. So we felt like even though we did a lot of walking and hanging out and working, we still felt like we gained a couple pounds. So M&M's, plain, all day, every day. Still would eat them. We also got Olympic gear, and each department or division would have different colors. We were green. I don't know if that was for PR or venue. I don't remember. But I think medical was red and another group was gray. So when you kind of saw colors, you knew what their role was. So that's pretty cool. We got 6 or 8 of those each and still have those. We even got shoes from, man, I can't remember who the shoe sponsor was, but the color on there was processed magenta. Hadn't heard of it before, haven't seen it since, but I got a pair of tennis shoes with a processed magenta stripe on it. Still got the green pants or the green shirt with the LA Summer Games logo. Yep, they don't fit, but I got them. So Can't use them, but I got them. That was a lot of fun. That was a very eye-opening experience. Made some good friends. Been able to talk about that forever and ever. The nice thing is we got to stay on the Queen Elizabeth II cruise ship. It was docked there, the QE2. So I'm 23. I'm in LA. I'm working the Olympics, living on a cruise ship, eating free M&Ms, drinking free Coke, free Coca-Cola. Man, didn't get much better than that then. So thoroughly enjoyed that. The other international event I was able to go to, so moving forward, so that was Texas. That was in Austin. So in 1993, took a job with Turner Sports in Atlanta. Again, doing PR for TNT at that time, had the NFL, had the NBA, had some golf. TBS had NASCAR. So got traveled to some cool events, worked with some good announcers, and had a lot of fun with that. But if you remember going back to the Olympics in 1980, Russia invaded Afghanistan. And so the US boycotted the 80 Olympics in Russia. Well, the Russians decided let's return the favor. So they boycotted the Olympic Games in 84, which was a big void for both of them. Because at the time in the Summer Olympics, it was the US versus Russia because basketball was good, track and field was loaded for both countries. So it was a big void and kind of an asterisk next to it for each of the countries. They each won a lot of gold medal, a lot of medals anyways, but they won considerably more with the other one not there. So Ted Turner, who started TBS, Turner Broadcasting, TNT, Cartoon Network, we'll get to that in a minute, decided, you know what? I'm tired of these politics. I'm going to start an athletic event with no politics. I'm going to call it the Goodwill Games. And we're going to invite every country around the world that he wanted everybody there so the athletes could compete against each other. And so he started that in 1986. Well, we moved to Atlanta in 93. Was part of the team that went to St. Petersburg, Russia for the 1994 Goodwill Games. And this was going to be another first for me. I'd never been out of the country. And so I was looking forward to that. So we fly to St. Petersburg, Russia. Again, never been there, read a lot of things about Russia. And that place is absolutely gorgeous. During some of the downtime, we got to tour these cathedrals. And if you've never been in a European cathedral, and a lot of these cathedrals in Russia, they hid the gold there in World War II because they knew the Germans, or they were assuming the Germans would not bomb religious buildings, especially cathedrals. Some of them were, but I think most of them were not hit. And so that's where a lot of the gold was stored. But these cathedrals, I said it then and I'll say it now, you could probably take the 10 best architects in the world living today, and they couldn't create the buildings that were built in the 1800s and the 1700s. They're just absolutely gorgeous. The craftsmanship, the designs were just so impressive. Don't know what the labor rate was there. I'm sure they got a lot of free labor way back when, but just absolutely gorgeous to be able to walk through that. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. And we also collected pins, again, from each country, people you knew. So I found like a Boy Scout flag or something about that big with just a ton of pins, and a lot of them were in Russian. So those are cool. I have to go back and look through that one day. Anyways, my wife came in handy on that trip for me. I struggle with being colorblind. And even if I can tell the colors, I don't have any style, so I can't match them. So before I left, we laid out all the clothes. I think I was gone about 19 days. And we laid out all the clothes I was going to need: dress, slacks, shorts, golf shirts, coat and tie, and everything. And we laid them out. And my wife, depending on your age, I don't know if they still exist today, but back in the day, there's a product for young kids called Garanimals. So kids could know what to match. So if you had an elephant on the top and an elephant on the shorts, that's how you match your clothes. You just put the two elephants on. So we laughed that I had my Garanimals. So I had a long list of what shirt went with what pants. So it could be a red shirt. It could have gone with black pants. blue, gray, tan, anything like that. But we literally wrote everything down. The funny part of this story was they tell me it's a gray suit. I disagree totally, but I'm the only one disagreeing because to me it's green, always has been. And I told Becky when she was writing out the list, please write down green suit because if you write gray, I will not see it and I won't wear it. So she wrote down green suit and we laugh about that today. But I had my Garanimals list when we get checked into the hotel, taped it up on the mirror there right by the closet, good to go. Becky has never let me leave the house looking like a dork. I may act like one sometimes, but I never left the house looking like a dork, and she came through then. So thoroughly enjoyed that. On the flight over there, we landed in Warsaw. So this was 1994. We landed at the Warsaw airport. Could not get out. They told us, in no uncertain terms, remain in your seat. I think they just refueled and left. But there's no way we're going to get out in the Warsaw airport. And on the way back, we went from St. Petersburg to Helsinki, Finland, spent a couple hours in the Helsinki airport. Again, just I'm a huge people watcher. My two favorite people watching places are airports and Walmart. I love them. Airports, I'm always wondering where people are going, who they're with, where they're coming from. And in Walmart, I get to see three of everything. And every time I go, I see something new. So I love people watching. But the Goodwill Games, I thoroughly enjoyed. Again, my first trip overseas, and I recommend it highly. So another thing we found, or that I found, was as a young boy, sports fan, I collected a lot of pennants. You know, sports teams have the pennants that you hang on the wall. And we're living in Columbia, Tennessee. So this would have been third and fourth grade. I'm thinking 68, 69, something like that. So I found two things from back then. My dad one summer had taken me to the Atlanta Falcons training camp, which was pretty cool. Back then, don't know if anybody knows who Tommy Nobis and Jeff Van Note and Pat Sullivan are, but if you're a Falcons fan from way back when, you know. And back then you could walk up to anybody and ask for their autograph. There were no fences or anything like that. You couldn't go on the field, but when they're taking a break, you were allowed to go ask for autographs. Everybody signed my pennant. I still have it. It's faded a bunch, but I still got it. And the other thing I found, didn't know I had it, was my third grade annual with everybody's year-end pictures. And if you've looked back at your third grade picture before, and I'm 59 and a half, so it's been an hour and, been a couple hours since I was in third grade. The pictures are funny. I could still pick myself out. So that was good. Missing a couple of teeth up front, but, still had the same look. So I enjoyed that. The other cool thing we found was a box full of die-cast cars. And I'm going to go NASCAR on you for a few minutes. So if you're a NASCAR fan, each team has decals and a sponsor on their car. And going back to my days at Turner Sports in Atlanta, I spent, I think, almost 2 years working for the Cartoon Network. Every week I'd bring stuff home for the boys. We'd get T-shirts, hats, everything. They kept giving us stuff with all the characters on Cartoon Network. Ted Turner bought the Hanna-Barbera studio and all in their library of all the cartoons. So Tom and Jerry, we had them all. So there was a business decision to get into NASCAR. We knew we weren't going to be any good. But we worked with a team just to get in the sport, to find sponsors, to advertise on TBS and TNT. So if you're a NASCAR fan, our car would look like this. This is Scooby-Doo. So every 6 or 8 races, we would put a new character on the car for 2 reasons. One is it would promote the show. And second of all, you sold merchandise at each race. And back in this day, it was Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon were the 2 most popular drivers, and they sold the most, but we were always third. We ran 30th in points, but the adults would go get hats and T-shirts and cars of their favorite drivers. Then they came by the Cartoon Network came by the Cartoon Network hauler and bought stuff for their kids. So we were always third or fourth in merchandise. And how cool is that to give to kids? This was a Scooby-Doo car. We're number 29. And here's a Tom and Jerry car. And again, we had We had Scooby Doo, Tom and Jerry, the Jetsons, the Flintstones, all these cars. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I don't even know which way I'm going. So, anyways, there's Tom and Jerry on the car. Oh yeah, so the kids loved it, and everybody came by to look at the car, and at a networking event one day or an unveiling one day for the car, my son Travis was Jerry because we needed somebody small. He was in sixth grade at the time, fit in perfectly, had a blast. Turns out he met a friend of his. We were in Daytona. We moved Daytona in 99, so this would have been probably 97. And we were unveiling a car at the Pepsi 400 in July. And we had an unveiling at the Volusia County Mall. If you've ever been to Daytona Beach, the Volusia County Mall, we had this event after it closed. So it started like 7:30 at night. We had our car, we had it covered up and just invited anybody we wanted. Our driver back then was Jeff Green, actually. Nice guy, okay driver, just not a big name driver. So we weren't going to get a lot of people, yet we still got over 300 people because NASCAR fans are diehard fans. So we've got everybody there. We've got Tom and Jerry in costume. We've got Jeff, the driver, and a couple other people and all these fans. And so we unveil the car, and it's the Tom and Jerry car. And everybody's taking pictures, and we got die-cast cars to give out and to sell, stuff like that. Everybody's having a good time because, like I said, NASCAR fans are very, very loyal. So we moved to Daytona Beach, and we got to know some folks there. And one of Travis's friends is named Nicholas Kessler. And so we're talking one day, and the Kesslers over at our house, and we pulled out a picture. Hey, let me show you a picture of Travis. He was Jerry when we unveiled the car. And the Kesslers go, hang on a sec, we were there. So that's the funny thing about it. 3 years later, we find out, and Nick and Travis are still good friends to this day. And that's just one of those funny small world stories that we pulled that out like, oh, yeah, we were there. And again, they're not huge NASCAR fans. They just wanted to go see the Tom and Jerry car and see the Cartoon Network characters and the driver in the car and stuff like that. So it was a cool story. But those are some of the neat things. So I've got these die-cast cars. As most of you know, my grandson Oliver is 2 years. What is he? 2 years, 4 months, 9 days now. But who's counting? So I figure when he gets a little bit older, we'll introduce him to these. Doesn't need it right now because they'll probably take off some baseboards on the floor as he runs them into the wall. But I want to be able to pass those down to him. I knew we save them for something one day, but it'll be cool to hand that to him. The other funny thing were the pictures we found. And again, if you have looked back at pictures you have of you way back when, man, I don't know about you guys, but it's the hair back in the 70s, some in the 80s, but it's the hair in the 70s. I graduated high school in 79. I've got what I thought at the time was a cool senior class picture. I've got on my Carolina blue 3-piece suit. I've got the thumbs in the pocket. I'm leaning up against a tree. And if you're a Brady Bunch fan, I had the Greg Brady afro. But you know what? I thought I was rocking it, but others have told me not. When my boys want to have fun with me, they'll post that picture on Facebook. And I get laughed at, as I should. But as with a lot of things, folks, in its time, that was a pretty good picture. So if you have not cleaned out your garage, those are some of the things you will find. Like I said, we don't know what we're going to do with the attic. That's probably after Christmas, but we'll get that straightened away. We'll get more stuff probably thrown away from the garage. And we'll get things a little bit more organized. And then we've got an elliptical we're trying to sell. And hopefully Becky will be able to park her car in the garage. So that is, yes.
If we clean our garage, it's just car stuff, really.
Yes.
Kathy will not let me store anything that's part of the house, like her, nothing that is a house item in the garage. Now, our garage is detached.
Yes.
It's in the backyard, so we can't get to it really.
Yeah, and I'm not a car guy, so I never worked on cars. My dad didn't, so he didn't hand that down to me, and I didn't know it, so I didn't hand it down to my boys. We found a cool, back when we were living in Daytona, one of my jobs there, I got a really, really nice Swiss Army knife, and it was still in the package. I think it's been open once for me to look at, and then I put it back in the box because what am I going to do with that? I'm just not handy. So I handed it to Becky yesterday, and she puts the gas grills and the ceiling fans together while I do the kitchen, laundry, vacuum, things like that. So we each know our role. And I handed that to her, and her eyes just lit up, Amnon. You would have enjoyed it too. And it had the Phillips head screwdriver heads you could put on there at different sizes to screw and unscrew things. So she was very happy that I found that. And you have, I know, about 30 or 40 different things of those in your man cave there where you tinker and fix things, but not much car stuff going on there. But anyways, so those are the fun things that you find out in your garage. Lots of pictures. Oh, I found my mom passed away a couple of years ago. And when she passed, there was no other living person that knew of my college GPA. My wife doesn't know, never been told. Boys don't know. Brother and sister don't know. My dad's gone. I don't even think he knew it. My mom knew a little bit of it. Mine was not good. And I thought that secret it wasn't bad, it just wasn't good. No surprise it didn't start with a 4, but I'll just leave it at that. And I thought my secret was safe until I went through one of the crates and geez, there it is. So I got to figure out what to do with that and make sure nobody finds that. The good news is, of all the jobs I've ever applied for, they've never asked me. I think one or two companies have asked for a copy of the diploma, but nobody's ever asked me what my GPA was. And frankly, I would have told them, forgot, just don't remember. But I know it to the hundredth. I know what my graduating GPA was. But I graduated in 4 years, no summer school, no extra classes. So I graduated on time, played a lot of intramural sports. Everything worked out right, but nobody asked me that. So I've got to figure out what to do with that because nobody knows that or my SAT scores. If I'd have gotten a 1400, might have bragged. Didn't get a 1400. But again, I did well on the ACT. That score I'll tell. I got a 31 out of 36 on the ACT back in the day. So that one I'll tell. But the SAT ones won't share with anybody. So. Anyway,
now
yes.
you were wondering about the attic?
Yes, we have stuff in the attic. We'll get to that.
Let me tell you how we were made to get to it and do it pretty quick. CP&L, Duke Energy, whatever, were offering a real good deal for insulating the attic.
Okay.
That you pay the guy and then they pay you $500 back or whatever. And we did the math and it was great. But we had to clean the attic for that. So we did it all. I mean, we just took everything down and put it under one of the carports.
Yep.
And Kathy went there and she worked on it and I went there. But the attic was cleaned up in 1 day.
Nice.
I mean, it's just, you had to. So you need to find a reason to clean it and then move everything.
Yeah. Oh, I have my reason I've been told to. So that works for me. Yeah. Because Becky knows some stuff is up there that she wants. We just don't know where it is. It's one of those, you know, how I really believe it's up there. But until you put your eyes on it, you're like, oh, okay, there it is. But we know we need to do that because, again, my whole goal is to be able to get Becky to park in the garage. So the attic and the garage will need to be coordinated. But working in the attic now, did you decide to clean it out in the summertime when it was very hot?
It was, I don't remember when it was. No, I think it was like in the fall or in the spring because they were saying, you know, you need it because it'll help. It was in the spring. It was supposed. No, it was in the fall. It was supposed to help heating.
Okay.
And yeah, they came and they looked and say, yeah, oh yeah, you did a good job here.
Nice.
And boy,
now, did they spray it or tack the foam up there?
They sprayed it with the like the what is it? The glass
yep.
fiberglass pieces.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But
And what fun things did you find looking through the boxes that were in the attic?
there were very few boxes. Everything was just put there. I
It's got
found I found my old 45 uh record player.
Oh,
One that you
nice.
put a whole stack of them and they
Yep.
just fall one under and I found
Love
that.
love those.
I mean there were very few things, to tell you the truth. Most of the stuff went in the trash. And
Yeah.
Kathy is not one that throws stuff in the trash. Now she took a lot of stuff and right away posted it on Let Go, and people were coming, all kind of Christmas decoration and things like that that she was not using anymore. And she sold. She made about $200-300, but the rest of
Yeah.
the stuff, yeah, just throw it away, throw it away. I was, huh? You throwing stuff away, but it was good.
Have you used that record player since?
No,
Do you still have any of the 45s?
I do have a bunch of 45s.
Yep. We have some albums left. Oh, I found some baseball cards too. I
Oh,
thought most of them had been thrown away, so none of them are in good shape, but I got them. So I may look through there. And again, this was back in the late 60s, early 70s, mid 70s growing up. So the Orioles and the Reds were good and names most people probably haven't heard of in a long time. But so that was fun to
nice.
find. But yeah, we got some albums in a box that we have taped and we know where they are. We just haven't got around to looking at it yet. But
And I was going to ask you when you mentioned, you said you found a box full of die-cast cars, a
yes.
box full. And then you show something that is like 1/8.
Yeah. Oh,
I
there's
mean,
probably
they're all
there.
that size?
Oh yeah. Yeah, those are the
Jeez.
biggest ones. You get smaller
You
ones,
know,
but that's the
I'm thinking about the, 3-inch, 4-inch, 2-inch kind of.
nope.
Wow.
Yep. And I probably have 15 of those in there. Yeah.
Hot dog.
Oh, like I said, we're getting free stuff from Cartoon Network every
Mm-hmm.
week. Yeah. The boys,
Nice.
we still have some things that we wear from it. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. So, but yeah, the diecast cars are a pretty cool thing in NASCAR. It's a pretty big deal. And to have a lot of these Cartoon Network ones, good fond memories, enjoyed going to the racetracks. We knew we would never do well, but we were very popular. Um, a couple, 3 times a year, usually twice in Charlotte, once in Atlanta, sometimes in Daytona, depending on who, especially when it was Scooby Doo on the car, I would find somebody to wear the Scooby Doo costume the whole day. And I'd just walk Scooby Doo around the track, around the outside of the track, and fans would just flock to them. It was a lot of fun. But I could walk anywhere I wanted to with him or her, depending on who's in the costume. They saw us coming. I had my Cartoon Network hat and shirt on and everything I needed. And we just walked wherever we wanted to because everybody wanted to see Scooby Doo. Lots of fun.
All right. That's all
So,
I had to say.
yep. All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a good day, and we'll see you next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.